Hi, I'm Dvdang1. Welcome to my program, Cocky Comedy and Other Conversation Skills. Today we're going to talk about one of my very favorite tools to use when it comes to attracting women. That special combination of arrogance and humor that I call cocky comedy. We're going to talk about a lot of different conversation skills, but we're going to put a particular focus on cocky comedy. Now, the purpose of your conversation with a woman, as we're going to address it in this program, is to create attraction. Okay, that's the purpose behind the conversation. Most men go into conversations without a purpose. They're just there to be themselves or get to know her. We're going to talk about how to use conversation as a tool to create attraction. You might use cocky comedy to start a conversation, to spark the attraction. You might use it to increase chemistry or sexual tension. You might use it to amplify attraction that's present. But remember, it's all focused around attraction. Don't lose sight of that. It's so key. Now, there's no point in being funny if you just come across as a goofy jackass or a dork, okay, or the comedy guy that's always making everybody laugh, if it doesn't create attraction. If you just want to learn how to be funny, get yourself a joke book. There are plenty of them out there. Or get online and type in jokes, and you'll learn a million jokes. If you want to learn how to make a woman feel attraction by the way that you talk and you communicate, then you're going to have to learn this magical combination of cocky comedy. This might be the most important point, and it has nothing to do with cocky comedy. It has to do with making a commitment to yourself to get the most out of this program. I hope you hear me say this more than anything else that I tell you. It's if you're going to learn something new, make a commitment to yourself to spend at least 90 days with it. Okay, 90 days. So do this right now. Close your eyes. We're going to make a 90-day commitment to yourself. Okay? Commit to yourself that you'll spend at least an hour a day for the next 90 days in a row working on this material. Okay? Form a success habit. Record the success habit in your mind for an hour a day, 90 days in a row. Build the habit. Wire it up. Take a moment right now and picture yourself applying what you learn every day for the next 90 days. Okay, now picture yourself applying it in your mind. Picture yourself using the tools that we're about to talk about. Picture the benefits that you could get if you worked with this for an hour a day every 90 days. Now see a picture in your mind of the outcome that you're looking for. See yourself successfully using what you're about to learn and getting the outcome that you want. All right, say yes with me to doing this every day for 90 days, an hour a day. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay, good. Most men have never considered or featured the idea that a woman can feel a similar, powerful, emotional, and physical response that's similar to the one that we feel when we see an attractive woman. Most guys have never even considered that a woman can feel that in response to something. One of the reasons why many men respond well to the concept of the words attraction isn't a choice is that it triggers this realization that they must change their communication if they want to trigger attraction in women. Okay, instead of trying to logically convince a woman to feel attracted, they must trigger it. If you don't have something in your paradigm or model of the world, then you can't see it or even perceive it when it's right in front of you. Once you get the concept in your mind and you know how to look for it, then you'll see it all around you. You ever notice that when you're thinking of buying a new car, that all of a sudden they're everywhere, the one that you want? Before that, you never even saw them, you didn't even notice them. Begin watching for clues in the world that personality-triggered attraction exists. Look for clues that personality-triggered attraction exists for women. And then consider the idea that it's the primary way that attraction is triggered in women. Okay? Look for clues that personality is the primary way that attraction is triggered inside of women. The elusive obvious. I got this term from a guy named Moshe Feldenkrais. He wrote a book called The Elusive Obvious. I love this term because it really describes our experience as people, as humans. What we're about to talk about is obvious. It truly is obvious if you know to look for it and you're aware of it. You know what you're looking for. It's been happening right in front of you all your life, but you've probably never noticed it. When you believe things are one way, your mind can prevent you from seeing anything than what you believe. Once you master the materials that we're going to cover, you'll be able to perform magic. Literally. You'll be able to do it right out in the open. It'll happen between you and women. You'll know that it's happening. They'll know that it's happening, but other people won't be able to understand what's happening. To them, it will look like magic. They won't be able to understand it. They'll attribute it to all kinds of things. They'll think that you must be lucky or that you must have some magical thing, the gift that you have. You'll be the one that knows the secret. The critical counterintuitive is a name I've given to the concept of key situations where going against the herd, key situations where going against the herd is both unusually important and exactly the opposite of what most people would do naturally. It's the critical counterintuitive. It's that moment in life where if you don't know to do it, you'll just be looking around what everyone else is doing and you'll think, oh, this must be the right thing to do. But if you do the different thing, that one magical thing, that one right thing that works, you'll have success out of all proportion to your effort. You'll get massive leverage out of it. A lot of great investors, they find that there are a few things that the amateurs all do and the pros never do. And they're counterintuitive. Just as an example, I've read several interesting books about investing. And some of the great traders, some of the really successful ones, the ones that get 20, 30% plus returns every year for 5, 10, 15, 20 years in a row, they say things like, amateurs all want to know when to buy a stock. When to buy. They want to know buy signals. That's what we all look for when we get in. How do I know what to buy? And the pros all say, it doesn't matter when you buy. It matters what you buy and your strategy and how you tolerate risk and how you manage your risk. Isn't this interesting that people tend to do the same things when they get in? But it's the opposite of what they really need to know. Cocky comedy can be very counterintuitive. It can be very counterintuitive. In some situations, when there's tension, or you don't know where to go, or you can't read a woman's body language and you're unsure of yourself, and normally you would just lay back and be like, okay, well, I'll just see where she wants to go with this. Saying something that might be incredible, like a ball-busting comment or something that's way out of left field might be the right thing, but you wouldn't know it unless you knew how to use the tools. So just remember, it's okay. Okay, it's all right to sometimes do things that are a little scary. And some of the things that you're going to learn, you're going to have to use in moments where you would normally never do something like that. All right, and that's okay. So take a few risks. Get out there. Can you take a few risks? Yeah? What brings people closer to each other? Questions like this one fascinate me. I think about them for years. You know, what brings people closer? There's a big difference between what should bring someone closer, bring two people closer, and what actually does bring them closer. All right? And you need to shift your paradigm to actually see this. So think about it for a minute. Should. What should bring people closer? Being similar, keeping a respectful distance from them, not invading their space, commonality, things we have in common, rapport, compliments, being really nice to them. Okay, that should bring people closer to each other. Huh? Now, what actually does bring people closer to each other? What does bring them closer? Emotions bring people closer to each other. That's a powerful one. Emotions. Great quote you might have heard me say. My mentor, Jerry Ballinger, who's no longer with us, taught me that emotions are the most addictive chemicals, period. Emotions are the most addictive chemicals. Physical play. Physical play brings people closer. The two sides of a coin, mystery and challenge, bring people closer. Unpredictability. That's a counterintuitive one, huh? Now, how could unpredictability bring people closer? For some reason, when you've got an unpredictable person around that you really like, you can't wait to hear what they're going to say next. You want to hang out with them just to see what's going to happen. And then I'll call teasing and ball busting, playful antagonizing, is another thing that brings people closer. You ever met someone and they just seemed to be completely different from everyone else? They might have been like a barista at Starbucks or something like that. And you go over there and you say something to them, and bam, they've got a comment, they've got an attitude, they're shooting something back at you. You're going, you're sassy. What's your deal? And then like it's on. You know what I'm talking about, right? That unpredictable, that teasing, that ball busting that just comes out of some people. Good. So I've been studying laughter for the last few years, and interestingly enough, I can't find very much good information on it. I have found a few things, though, that I'm going to share with you. All right, I've read some interesting books. I've read some interesting articles. And I started with, it's interesting, everybody laughs, right? So what the hell is laughter? Like, what's going on here? And the first assumption that I had, laughter is about funny things. We laugh in response to funny things. So it has to do with humor. But what is humor? Right? So I'm asking these questions. What is humor? Is it incongruity? Is it surprise? Is it reframing? And the big surprise that I had, which there's always one when you go to study something, is that most laughter is not in response to something that's funny. Most laughter isn't about funny. So as soon as I heard that really piqued my curiosity. I said, all right, what the hell is this? What are you talking about? And I looked around in my experience and I realized it was true. So that really got me on the trail. So I'm going to share some ideas, some things that I've learned about laughter. Because I think when you understand laughter, what its purpose is and where it comes from, it'll change how you approach humor. It'll change how you approach being cocky and funny. It'll open your mind. Okay, so before we get into the how-tos of cocky comedy, let's talk about one of the basic components, all right, which is laughter. There are several what I'll call universal language components that all humans from all cultures and backgrounds share, all over the world. Okay, so one of them would be crying. Crying in response to things that are, bring up grief for them or sorrow. All right, another one would be screaming or yelling in response to fear. Okay, making a loud noise when you're horrified. When you hear a curdling scream, when you hear someone scream, you immediately feel fear. It's a universal in human language. All cultures. And of course, another one is laughter. Across all cultures, every culture laughs. And they all do it in about the same way. It's a universally recognized part of human language. Just like smiling. If you smile at someone else from another culture, they know what that means. We're able to read facial gestures and smiles and different types of eye contact and know what it means intuitively. Most people just don't know that they know this stuff already. So, laughter is the universal bonding communication. Okay, so write that down. Laughter is the universal bonding communication. And then also write down that it's rarely in response to something that's funny. It's rarely in response to something that's funny. It's bonding. It's, hi, I like you. Hi, I want to make friends with you. Hi, will you be my friend? Laughter. Laughter. So, if laughter is the universal bonding tool, the mechanism, what's it triggering inside of us? What's it doing? What's it causing? What's the result that makes us bond? Okay? So I'd like you to start thinking of humor, personality, laughter as drugs. Think of them as drugs. I just, very recently, I read an interesting piece by Richard Dawkins, okay, of the Selfish Gene fame. You've heard me talk about the Selfish Gene a lot. In his more recent book, Unweaving the Rainbow. This guy's profound. Just reading parts of his books once in a while will expand your consciousness. It'll open your mind. It'll, teach you how to think better. Anyway, he suggested that one possibility, or one way of thinking about a male bird's song of courtship, okay, a male bird who's doing the courtship song, is that it's like a drug, or if you prefer, that it triggers the release of drugs inside of a female bird's physical and emotional system. Drugs. The song triggers drugs. Now, what I'd like to ask you is, and by the way, have you ever seen courtship? I know you're kind of sick and you watch Discovery Channel, right? Isn't it interesting how a male animal will go into his whole little courtship thing, and female animals will respond. It's as if they're under a spell of some kind. Well, something's going on inside of them. It's chemicals. Now what I want to ask is it possible that the combination, right, of this male human song with laughter tends to release a powerful compound of drugs inside of a woman? Is it possible that we can do the same thing with women? And is it possible that laughter is an important component in that compound of drugs? I think so. Here's a little section from an article that I saw on MSNBC. The big mystery, why do we laugh? Contrary to folk wisdom, most laughter is not about humor. May 27th, 1999. Laughter is part of the universal human vocabulary. All members of the human species understand it. Unlike English or French or Swahili, we don't have to learn to speak it. We're born with the capacity to laugh. Okay? We're born with it. We don't have to learn this one. One of the remarkable things about laughter is that it occurs unconsciously. Write that down. Laughter occurs unconsciously. You do not decide to do it. While we can consciously inhibit it, we don't consciously produce laughter. That's why it's very hard to laugh on command or to fake laughter. We also know that laughter is a message that we send to other people. So write that down. Laughter is a message we send to other people. We know this because we rarely laugh when we're alone. We laugh to ourselves even less than we talk to ourselves. I thought that was profound. Right? We rarely laugh when we're alone, and that we laugh as a species, we laugh to ourselves less than we talk to ourselves. I would have never guessed that one. We found that most laughter does not follow jokes. People laugh after a variety of statements, such as, "Hey John, where you been?" "Here comes Mary. How do you do the test? And do you have a rubber band?" These certainly aren't jokes. We don't decide to laugh at these moments. Our brain makes the decision for us. These curious ha-ha-has are bits of social glue that bond relationships. Laughter has a bonding function within individuals in a group. It's often positive, but it can be negative too. There's a difference between laughing with and laughing at. People who laugh at others may be trying to force them to conform or casting them out of the group. Here's an interesting book. It's called The Barmaid's Brain by Jay Ingram. And it's a bunch of this fruity stuff that I like to read about, okay? Behavior and science and what have you. I'm going to do a little reading from it. I'm starting in the middle of a sentence, so just pick it up with me. The UCLA group suggests that a joke, the resulting feeling of mirth, and the act of laughter are all stations along a neural network in the brain. While normally the joke comes first, it is possible to produce the laughter first, which then triggers the rest of the network. So think about that for a moment. A joke, the resulting feeling of mirth, and the act of laughter are all stations along a neural network in the brain. While normally the joke comes first, it is possible to produce the laughter first, which then triggers the rest of the network. Like the feelings? The implications of the UCLA experiment are profound, especially for stand-up comics. If a comic can incite the people in the audience to laugh, for whatever reason, their brains will likely attribute that laughter to the comic's jokes. Canned laughter in television sitcoms has been used for nearly 50 years now, and researchers have confirmed that it both makes viewers laugh more and persuades them that the show is funnier. Two quite different conclusions. Robert Provine has suggested that our brains might contain laughter detectors that are linked more or less directly to laughter generators, so that hearing laughter would make us laugh even in the absence of anything funny. You notice sometimes when I say something stupid and I don't get a laugh, I say, give me some courtesy laughter, right? It's kind of funny because when everybody laughs, then they laugh at everyone laughing, and it kind of grows for a little bit. It's great because then they actually go back in their minds and they think what I said was funny. See, I thought that was funnier than it was. All right, give me some courtesy laughter. All right, did you hear what happened? Everybody did a little courtesy laughter, and then it died down, and then everyone laughed at the courtesy laughter. It's interesting, isn't it? Now, if you've heard me do give me some courtesy laughter before, I just found this very interesting. I didn't expect this, but I guess I should have. When I said give me some courtesy laughter, it was very low. It was about a quarter the volume that it usually is. Why? I suspect because I was explaining to you what I was about to do. You had it all in your mind. You were thinking about it, and it wasn't a surprise. Didn't surprise you, right? Here's an interesting book that I picked up not too long ago. Where it at? I didn't bring it. Gotta love that. Oh, here it is. It's The Elusive Obvious. Laughter. Laughter. If you want to be more funny, you want to make women laugh, you want to get this response, read this book, Laughter. There's a little reading from it. Gender in laughing, speaking, and listening. There are no gender-free human encounters. I'd write that one down. There are no gender-free human encounters. No such thing as a gender-free human encounter. When someone laughs, someone else is usually present, and the gender of that person must be taken into account to understand the social dynamics of laughter. There are no gender-free human encounters. I'd like you to start noticing the difference between men interacting with each other, women interacting with each other, and mixed groups interacting with each other, and how the genders influence everything. We'll talk more about that in a sec. Another reading from the same book. What is the nature of the laughter offered by men and sought by women? As we have seen, observations of actual behavior indicate that men laugh much less than the women with whom they are conversing. But laughless males are an unlikely concern of women who are really requesting that men make them laugh. And the men who offer laughter aim to stimulate it in their female partner, not to laugh themselves. You might want to write that one down too. This is a huge mistake. Laughless males are an unlikely concern of women who are really requesting men who make them laugh. And the men who offer laughter aim to stimulate it in their female partner, not to laugh themselves. These men may revel in the chuckles of a female companion, a measure of her pleasure and recognition of his acceptance and status. A woman's laughter, recognizing his status. Such funny men are likely to pass the female laugh test, whether they actually laugh themselves or not. And another section. Imagine a conversing couple standing close and gazing intently into each other's eyes, with the man's indistinct mumble, 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 repeatedly punctuated by the bright sound of female laughter and a lot of shared laughter. My data suggests a positive prognosis for this relationship. Imagine that in your mind for a sec. Close your eyes. A man's indistinct mumble, 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 repeatedly punctuated by the bright sound of female laughter and a lot of shared laughter. The prospects are less favorable for a relationship featuring a lot of unreciprocated male laughter. Okay, unreciprocated male laughter. The couple may be standing further apart and the female may be glancing around, signaling a lack of interest in her companion, providing an invitation for outsiders to join them. Okay, close your eyes and imagine that one. The man laughing, the woman not looking at him, looking around uncomfortably. The man trying to break the tension with the laughter, get her to laugh. In the above scenario, the laughter of the female, not the male, is the critical positive index of a healthy relationship. It's the laughter of the woman. Here's a little quote from a book called Exuberance by K. Redfield Jameson. Laughter signals, I enjoy this, do it again. The reverberating delight perpetuates other reverberating delight. Laughter creates and strengthens the bonds between parent and child and among other members of a social group. Okay, so laughter strengthens the bonds. Biologists believe that human laughter also signals to other members of the group that it's safe to relax, safe to play. There is evidence for this view in the behavior of non-human primates. Chimpanzees and pygmy chimpanzees make panting noises or play chuckles and show a play face, formerly called a relaxed open-mouth display, when they engage in social play or they tickle one another. Tickling, according to Roger Fouts and other primate researchers, is an important behavior in the lives of chimpanzees. Chimps that have been taught sign language, for instance, frequently talk or sign about tickling. Their play face, like laughter in humans, seems to be incompatible with fear or aggression. The chimpanzee grin face, a relaxed bared teeth display, which is more analogous to human smiling, denotes submission and is associated with affinitive behavior. Affinitive displays, such as smiling, precede and often lay down the emotional groundwork for social play in both human and non-human primates. The powerful social ties initiated or shored up by laughter would have been vital to early hominids in creating the cooperative behaviors necessary to explore new lands, to hunt, and to raise young together. It would have been critical as well to generate the trust necessary to take risks as a group. Laughter, then as now, would have helped to disarm tension and ameliorate stress and loneliness. It would have prompted closeness, bonded mother to infant, mate to mate, and friend to friend. Laughter, millennia ago as now, would have helped veil the terrors of life. It would have bound individuals to the communities, and its infectiousness, fast sent among its members, body to body, brain to brain, would have allowed the group to respond en masse, not just as individuals, one at a time and disjointly. Laughter gives rise to yet more laughter and sends out, as it does, well-being to the far corners. It spreads its delights far, fast, and furious. I read one article that talked about the evolution of laughter, like where did it come from? And one theory was that you'll notice that in a lot of mammal groups, higher mammals, primates, the dominant one or a chosen one will sit in a vantage point and it will watch for danger. And if there's danger, they'll cry out. And if there's a surprise of some kind. And that over time, it began to become associated with that tension buildup and then the release of the tension. Okay, that fear and then the release. Have you ever noticed that if you're really afraid of something, you hear a noise or something and then you see that it was just something stupid, that you often laugh, right? And you go, oh, God. That's what that is. Truly. Do that for a sec. Go. Okay, good. That's for my entertainment, not yours. And so they believe that laughter evolved as when the tension breaks, when there's tension and then release, we laugh. Okay? We do it in the presence of others because it communicates something to them. You can communicate to the whole troop. The theory and the purpose of laughter. Okay? So laughter serves a social function. Okay, laughter serves a social function. It actually has a function in our species, a necessary one that evolved over long periods of time. Most laughter isn't in response to something funny. Yeah, that's a key. You want to remember that. Various research has shown that people are between 10 and 30 times as likely to laugh when they're in the presence of others. In other words, we don't laugh very much when we're alone. And we're more likely to talk to ourselves than laugh. We just learned that. Research also shows, and this one is fascinating, that higher status people can tend to make more jokes than lower status people. Higher status people make more jokes than lower status people. All right, and I'm going to extend this to why it's okay to be constantly bagging on her making jokes, even though she's not, as long as she's laughing. I want to tell you a story about how I first learned about cocky comedy, where the concept came from. Going back, probably 7 years now or something like that. I had a friend that I met who was actually my next door neighbor, turned out, and we became friends. And we would go out, and I was telling him about all this stuff I was learning about how to be successful with women and what have you, and he always just kind of looked at me and shook his head and laughed. Because he was kind of a natural. He just got what to do. And he had a lot of friends that were really good with women too. And we were out one night, and I was doing my normal stuff, trying to be nice to women and build rapport and make them like me and what have you. And he was shaking his head, and he was just going, nah. I said, explain it, teach me, tell me what the deal is. And he actually said this several times to me. I saw it come out of his mouth. He was like, it's a combination of like being cocky, but like being funny. And that's like the best way I could describe it. And it took me a long time to really get it, to even see what he meant. And he had to say it several times. It probably took me months of working with it, watching him, trying to understand it, because I couldn't see how being arrogant with being funny could make a woman be attracted to you. It just wasn't a connect for me. Right? Now I understand that there's like a direct link with those things, and that when you combine cocky and funny, something he was doing unconsciously, and that a lot of guys that are naturals do unconsciously, that I had to learn and find, there's magic in that. Okay? It's a natural thing. It's a natural thing. Triggers that feeling. It's a combination of a lot of things that trigger attraction. Now the words cocky comedy, it's easier to understand and it's a little more clear, okay, because you have references for that in your mind. Think of Howard Stern, David Letterman, and probably my favorite, Triumph, the insult comic dog. All right? And if you don't know who Triumph is, go out on the internet and download the Triumph at Bon Jovi, Triumph at Star Wars, when he was out on the streets of New York, at Star Wars, when all the thousands of people with no life line up for days waiting to watch the movie. And I mean, it was just incredible. I think my favorite was when he walked up and he said, "Oh, I found an actual girl in all the nerds." And the girl's standing there, and he goes, "Honey, isn't it great? You have your veritable pick of the litter of men who have no idea how to please you." Get some Triumph. He is cocky comedy. I mean, he is the ball-bustingest. He takes it over the edge. He pisses a lot of people off. He walked up to J-Lo. Well, if a dog puppet can walk at the at the MTV Awards or whatever, and he's like, "Please let me sniff your butt." She didn't like that very much. Watch some Triumph. Okay, it's a shot in the arm for you. These guys are naturally cocky and funny. Now let's contrast cocky and funny with a sense of humor. Okay, let's just contrast them so that you understand the distinction. It's common wisdom that making a girl laugh is an important part of making her like you. To this end, many guys do their best to make jokes. In contrast, cocky comedy is about something very different. Laughter is good, but it's more a signal that you're actually on the right track rather than the ultimate objective. Okay? So laughter is a signal that you're on the right track. It's not the objective. It's not what you're trying to do ultimately. It's a tool. The point of cocky comedy is attraction. Comedy is to create, then release tension in a humorous way. Cocky comedy is about creating tension, then releasing it a little, then creating more tension, and building more and more toward a crescendo. The release never really comes with cocky comedy. All right? When you're using cocky comedy, you're using high status references. Okay? You're being higher status, and you're making fun of her, and you're treating her as if she's lower status, but you're doing it in a funny way. Okay? There's humor in it. And she's always working to come up to your status, and you're always teasing her and pushing her back down. So there's a dynamic tension that never quite ends. You ever hear a guy try something like this, and he like busts a girl's balls, and she like goes, "Oh, I can't believe you said that." And he goes, "Oh, I was just kidding. It was a joke." And the woman goes, "Yeah, I know, you dumbass." Right? That's the opposite of what we're trying to do here. It's a contrast. Sense of humor. Okay, a sense of humor is about making her laugh, making her think that you're funny, making her like you, getting her approval. You notice most guys tell jokes to get a woman's approval. They think, "Oh, I'll make her laugh and she'll like me." Cocky comedy, on the other hand, is about making a woman feel attraction. It's about making her desire you, want to be at your status level, want to be like you, want to get your approval. It's about making her want you and want to be around you. And it's about making her feel a feeling called attraction toward you that she cannot control with her conscious mind. It's unexplainable. It's counterintuitive. If you try to explain to a woman, "Well, I used cocky comedy on you. I busted your balls mercilessly. You wanted to be like me. You wanted to be at my status. You laughed, and so you couldn't deny that it was funny, and that's why you love me." Most women would say, "Please let me have a hit of the crack you are smoking, because it must be really good stuff," right? Cocky comedy in a nutshell. Okay? So why the combination? Why cocky and comedy? First of all, women aren't attracted to lower status men. Women aren't attracted to lower status men. I highly recommend that you get yourself a copy of my mastery program. I spend a lot of time on status in that program. I go into depth, and it's critical to your success that you understand the importance of status, social status, and the hierarchy. So women aren't attracted to lower status men. Just remember that. Women are not attracted. They never feel attraction for lower status men. The cocky element implies high status. When you are cocky, what you are communicating is, "I am high status." When you can say cocky things in a confident way, and you don't care what the other person says, instantly people realize, wow, you're just naturally a high status person. If you can make a woman laugh at something you say that's busting on her, or extremely arrogant, you've achieved a magical accomplishment. See, what you're not trying to do is just get her to laugh at a joke. What you're trying to do is get her to laugh at something you've said that's high status. It's a particular type of laughter you're looking for. The comedy element keeps you out of the jerk or asshole category, okay? Because that's not what you're trying to communicate. And it creates an amazing connection, okay? If you can make a person laugh consistently, as my buddy Craig would say, you're in. You're in. It's over. If you can make a person laugh consistently, you're in. The next level, even more powerful than her laughing at a cocky and funny joke you've made while you're not laughing, is, actually, you know what, I want to talk about this for a sec. Think about the dynamic. Think about the dynamic. You're with a woman, you're laughing, she's not laughing. You're laughing a lot, she's not laughing a lot. What does that mean? Yell it out.
No attraction.
Wuss, no attraction. You're seeking her approval by laughing. Not funny. You don't get it? You're not with it? You're insecure? Okay. Now think of it the other way around. She's laughing and you're not, constantly. She's laughing, you're not. She's laughing, you're not. What's going on here? It's on? It's good. It's always on, really. Go ahead. What else? Yell it out. You have higher status? You're cool? Okay? So think about that. Okay? Close your eyes for a second. Really imagine those different scenarios. You're laughing, she's not. A tense moment comes up, you laugh to break the tension, but she doesn't laugh with you. Wow, you were trying to laugh to get her to laugh. You didn't even realize it. Now think of the opposite. She's laughing to break the tension, and you're saying things that are building the tension. It's so fascinating. Okay, come back. It's so fascinating to me to think that a person usually laughs in order to signal, hi, I'd like to bond with you socially. I'd like to be cool. I'd like to be part of your group. I like you. And that it's unconscious, that they can't control it. It's been right in front of us the whole time. Unconscious, can't be controlled, and it's the signal. So we want to get more of that. And if you're not laughing, and she is, it's signaling, and you're making the jokes, it's signaling your high status, and she wants to bond with you. She wants your approval. She's trying to get your approval. And you're not giving her yours. See, when you're not laughing, you're not giving her approval. And she craves that approval. Okay, all of us do at some level. We all crave the love, the attention, the approval of other humans. We all want it at an unconscious level. We want it more than anything. And when you're not laughing, you're not giving it up. In her unconscious mind, there's a tension being built there. It's powerful. It's like a giant black hole that needs to be filled with something. It's like, and then she can't help it. She can't stop herself from laughing. It's an incredibly powerful combination when you can affect this dynamic. You understand what I'm talking about? All right, the next level after that is even more powerful than her laughing at a cocky and funny joke you've made while you're not laughing, is her friends laughing at the comment you've made. Okay, her friends laughing, because now you're getting the approval and the we want to bond with you from her peers. And next, the pinnacle of cocky comedy, okay, this is the pinnacle, is when her friends are laughing at a joke you've made about her while you're not laughing. Like dynamite, these are very powerful and dangerous. Use them very carefully. Okay, you don't want to use them too much. If you're talking to a girl and her friends are there, and every once in a while you say something and all her friends laugh, and then she's laughing and you're having a good time, maybe you laugh a little bit here and there, and then you say something to bust on her and she goes, oh, and then all her friends start laughing at her, it's over. Okay, she'll chase you around punching you the whole night. Right? She'll seek you out. Where is that jerk? But if you keep doing it, if you keep saying things that her friends are laughing at her about, eventually she'll say, I think I may have had enough of this. Okay, so you got to be very careful with this one. Okay, it's magic if you can do it once. You do it 3 or 4 times and it becomes the opposite. A great artist needs to know when to stop working on a work. Stop. And a little secret I'll give you. I learned how to affect this years ago with fun things like palmistry and handwriting analysis. Any kind of a cold reading technique, you know what I'm talking about, where you're telling her about herself. And I use these things for humor. I don't really take them seriously. It's fun if you're doing handwriting analysis or palmistry with a group of people or women, and you can tell one of them something embarrassing about themselves that all their friends know, that's like a revelation, where the girl like goes, oh, and all her friends like laugh and go, ha, 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 that's true about her. She is the whiny one. All right? So I recommend you test out a couple of those things. If you can learn to pick out the traits, and then when you're talking to a group of girls, you go, you know what? You're the this one in the group, and you're the that one in the group, and you're the outgoing one, and you're the protector. Or like, if you can pick out the cock block, that's good. Oh, so you're the cock block, huh? Boy, Craig, you came up with some good stuff that I'm just riffing on. Anyway. Powerful. You get why it's powerful? The cocky comedy test. I'm going to give you a simple little self-test for cocky comedy. Here's what a lot of guys do wrong, okay? They use stilted or nervous or unnatural, uncomfortable conversation and gestures. They do things that seem unnatural. Now, what a lot of guys say is, well, how do I seem like I'm natural? Well, that's a much tougher situation to address. But women can pick up unnatural. They can pick up when you're trying to do something that's not you very quickly. If you're nervous or you're about to, So you've got to learn to just stay cool and calm. Be cool. Don't let anything get to you. Because when you act unnatural, women can tell you're being unnatural. Being unnatural is conveyed through a lot of little things, little gestures and eye movements. So whatever it is, you need to be natural about it. Trying to get her approval, okay, in any way, or make her like you, and then especially apologizing or seeming like you're apologetic for anything. And then finally having an agenda instead of enjoying the moment. So, if it's cocky comedy, then it's both arrogant and funny. If she isn't smiling and laughing often, then what you're doing isn't cocky comedy. Okay? If she isn't smiling and laughing often, then you don't get it. You don't get it. I have a lot of guys that come up to me and they say things like, oh man, cocky comedy comes natural to me and blah, 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 blah. But women, they just laugh at me and think that I'm like dorky and like the goofball. And I go, it's obvious. You're being funny. You're not being cocky. You don't get it. And then I also have guys that come to me and say, yeah, I'm just naturally like this, but I kind of tend to offend women. Like they become offended at what I say. It's not funny. What you're saying isn't funny. It's funny to you, but it's not funny to the recipient, the one that really matters. So that's the test. If she's not smiling and laughing often, then it's not cocky comedy. Now, an important thing for you to remember, it's really important to remember this. The mistake of thinking that cocky comedy is everything. Okay, it's not everything. This is a tool in your toolbox. It's a club in your golf bag. It's one of the things that you're going to use. You probably notice when you read the newsletters, like guys latch on to that one. It evolved to CNF, cocky and funny, right? It's like jargon now. Dude, I rolled up to the three girls and I did CNF on them and I got some response. I'm like, what are you talking about, jackass? Everybody's laughing. Some of the people that wrote me those emails are in this room, aren't they? It's okay, you don't have to reveal yourself. So it's a tool in the bag. It's one piece of the puzzle. Learning this alone is not going to solve all of your problems, okay? But it's a great tool, and learning it can really, really help you. It can help you start conversations and do really well with women, get into banter and get that attraction going. But it's not everything, so don't rely on this solely. Don't make it your whole game. Don't rely on cocky comedy to create attraction all by itself. You really need to understand the other dynamics. And finally, you must overcome your insecurities. Okay, you must overcome your insecurities. You must polish up your personality quirks. Okay, you must polish up your personality quirks. You must learn to control your body language and other things if you really want to take advantage of the power that this technique and way of thinking offers. I really enjoy coming to these programs and getting to interact with people. I like interacting and helping guys get to the next level. And a consistent thing that I see is guys come over to me and they start to ask me a question, and I'll confront them with something. Like I'll hit them with an idea, and I'll go, you know what? Seems to me like, you're just acting like a puss when you're around women. You got to stop that. And that'll be like my answer. They came up and they're like, hi, David. Hey, how's it going, man? Blah, blah, blah. I've got this problem and this and that. And I go, you need to stop acting like a puss. And it's like startling, and I see them go, oh, wow, okay. And like they avert their gaze and they like get nervous and like freaks them out. And that's okay. Okay, it's fine. Really, it's okay. It's where you're at. And I realize that there's some, I'm standing up here on the stage the whole time. You're looking up at me, and there's like the natural kind of unconscious status built into the situation, and there's more of that stuff going on. But if you do that, if you find yourself doing those things unconsciously, work on that. Work on being able to look at someone and listen to what they're saying and be connected with them, have some level of intimacy, and then have them say something that freaks you out and not having it bother you. Not having it bug you. Just, okay. I used to work with someone, and it really made an impression on me, because I could go to him and say something about him, that I was like almost afraid to share, because he was like this, high status person. And I remember, whenever I'd get the courage to work up something, to give him some constructive criticism or some feedback that I thought he might not take very well, he'd sit there and he'd listen and he'd go, And that made such a huge impression on me, because I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, this guy's like built of stone. Like nothing affects him. And of course it put his status even further up. So if you've got nervous tics and gestures and personality quirks and little things where you get freaked out by things, work on that. Work on it with all people. It will help you. It'll help you in almost all areas of life. Okay, if you walk in to ask for a raise and you say, hi, I've been doing a really good job lately, and I was thinking, it wouldn't be too much trouble, maybe to give me a little raise, would it possibly? How likely are you to get a raise? Or if you're sitting with a woman and it's the end of dinner and everything's been going pretty well, and you're thinking, you know what, she loves me, she needs to come home with me right now, and you go, hey, I got some new Barry Manilow records. I was thinking if you're not, doing anything else, eh? Don't laugh to make her laugh. All right, we touched on why and the reasoning for this earlier. Don't laugh to make her laugh. This is one of those ones that's going to be tough to control, because it's your unconscious mind that's been doing it and is going to continue to do it in the future. And then, you're going to laugh to make her laugh. You're going to go, and then you're going to go, oh, damn it, David told me not to laugh. And you're going to go, oh, shit. And you're going to go, that's not what I meant. Cool. It's cool. So humans often, or even usually, laugh or smile in response to hearing others laugh, even when what's being laughed at isn't funny, or sometimes even known. A lot of times, if a group of people is laughing, someone else will laugh just because they hear it laughing. They hear the laughing. And what do people say when they laugh in response to other people laughing and they don't know what it was about? And you go, well, why'd you laugh? What do they say? The laughter was funny. They reverse engineer, they go back and they make up history, and they go, oh, well, I found the laughter funny. They confuse the funniness with the laughter. Right? If you ask someone why you laughed at something, they'll always say, oh, I found it funny. But that's not usually why people laugh. If we want to make another person laugh, in other words, if we try to make someone else show up or give us approval, we often laugh ourselves. Right? So when a high-status person laughs at something, others start laughing automatically, even if they don't know what that something is yet. Then when they find out what it is, they tend to laugh even more. Okay? So I tend to think of, maybe a boardroom with a bunch of, business people sitting around, a mixed group, and there's a meeting, and there are different levels in the organization all represented there. And the high-status person sees something and starts laughing about it. And everyone else starts laughing, even though the thing is, most people wouldn't laugh. And then the low-status person, the lowest person on the totem pole, looking over at something and starting to laugh, and the rest of the people in the room looking over at them and going, jackass. Right? So remember, when a high-status person laughs at something, others start laughing automatically. You'll also notice that some people, and these types of people annoy the hell out of me, that are high status for whatever reason, they made a lot of money or they're up high in an organization, they start laughing to themselves in front of other people. You ever seen that one? Where they'll just, they'll just be sitting there and nothing will be happening, and then they'll go, It's kind of fake. And other people immediately around them to win their approval go, what? What? What are you laughing at? What's so funny? I make sure to punish that behavior. When a high status person starts laughing around me, I look at them and go. And they go, it's not working. Don't laugh unconsciously or consciously to break tension. Write that down. Don't laugh unconsciously or consciously to break tension or to try to make her laugh. Okay? Now, as an exercise based on what we talked about a little earlier, close your eyes. Make a picture in your mind of a guy laughing in order to break tension. And the woman, all right, that he's with, looking around for some kind of distraction so that she can pretend that the guy she's with isn't as much of a dork as he seems to be. Imagine the woman looking around, almost pretending that she doesn't hear the laughter. Right? Denying the dork. Just so she doesn't have to laugh. Right? Now don't do that. Don't do that picture. When you find yourself doing it, stop yourself immediately. A little left hook bitch slap across the face. That'll remind you. Okay, come back. Vibing. Vibe. Good vibes. Good vibrations. Bad vibes. It's a word in our Western culture that I find interesting. It's one of those cool words that cool people use. Vibing. Picture in your mind a situation where a man and a woman are vibing. They're both in tune with each other, and they're feeling chemistry, and they're enjoying it. Okay? Think about that for a minute. What does that look like when a man and a woman are vibing? They're feeling the vibe. They're throwing some vibe back and forth. It's a combination of both people knowing how to communicate on a sexual level, plus the signaling of interest or enjoyment of the other knowing the lingo. You with me? It's, we both communicate on this level, and you know what? I enjoy it that you do too. Knowing that you don't know how to get these types of responses from women triggers many guys to avoid flirting at all. Okay, a lot of guys know that they don't know how to get those vibes and those responses from women, so they avoid flirting or doing anything to even try because they don't like the subtle rejection. They know that when they try that women don't send it back, so they've built that up to have a lot of meaning, so they don't even test things. The concept that I'm calling vibing is highly addictive. It's like a strong drug. You can become psychologically addicted from the first little taste. Okay, I've never tried cocaine myself, but I understand that it can be psychologically addictive, that you can just have a little bit and from then on you just think about it until you get some more. And that's it. You're addicted to it from the first little hit. Well, vibing is the same way. It's psychologically very addictive. You'll notice that when you learn how to do it and start it and trigger it and communicate on that level and throw those vibes out to women, that women go, oh, how cool, a guy that gets it. I got to keep those vibes going. I got to hit the ball back. They want more. When you understand this dynamic and how to start it and how to keep it going with women, it becomes really powerful, magnetic. You can give her a little at a time, and by not giving all of it, you make her want more. So you can throw out, once you know how to do this, you throw out a little bit of vibe, and you vibe with her for a second, it's like, yeah. And then you stop, and you go back into cocky and funny or ball busting, and then you turn up the tension even more, and then you vibe with her some more, and you mix it all together. Okay, so you give her some, and you stop, and you pull back, and you don't give her any more. Vibing. Conversation skill. Stickiness. This is a concept that I got from internet marketing. Stickiness is a term that's used to describe web pages where someone will go to the page and it's very sticky. In other words, they stick there. They just want to, look at everything and, look at all the different parts of it because it's interesting. Makes them stick. Our website is pretty sticky, you'll notice, or our different websites, because when you get in there, if you're interested in our topic, you're going to read the whole thing. Okay, so in order to be sticky in the term that I'm using, the conversational term, there are a few things that you have to keep in mind. Okay? And I would like it if you became sticky conversationally, where once a woman started interacting with you, she's stuck and she went, okay, this is different. I got to see what's going on here. Yeah, I want some more of this. You have to get her attention. You have to keep her interest. It is like advertising. Attention. Do I have your attention? All right. Who's seen Glengarry Glen Ross? Okay, good. If you haven't seen that movie, you got to go get it and watch just Alec Baldwin's scene in the beginning. It's fantastic. Okay, so in order to be sticky, you must get her attention first. Somehow her attention must be gotten, whether it's with eye contact, humor, bumping her, doing something. You got to get her interested and keep her interested. Okay, so now there has to be interest. You have to trigger that curiosity. You must differentiate yourself quickly from any other men that are present. Differentiate yourself quickly. Differentiate yourself quickly. Fantastic book that I read. It's called Differentiate or Die. It's a book by Jack Trout, and it's about marketing. And amazingly enough, if you take all the concepts that he talks about in there and you apply them to yourself, you'll make yourself incredibly valuable. Differentiation. Increase her curiosity and make her wonder what's coming next. Okay, so I talk about unpredictability a lot. You want to be unpredictable because you want to have her go, I don't know what the hell is going to come next, but I want to know really bad. I got to see the next thing. I don't know what the hell is going to come out of his mouth next. You want to have her going, bringing her friends over, going, this guy, I just don't know what the hell he's going to say next. You got to make her want more. You have to make her feel attraction. And then you have to increase her attraction to you by being challenging, mysterious, unpredictable. One of the attraction amplification concepts is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's the way to dial up a woman's attraction knob. You turn it up, then you turn it back a little bit. You turn it up, and then you turn it back a little bit. Then you turn it up a little bit more. Okay? 2 steps forward, 1 step back. All right? So when you're using this, you want to go 2 steps forward, and then you want to pause for a little bit, let the tension sit there and build, plateau, and then you want to maybe move back a little bit, do something else, and then you want to go forward again. Continue moving forward, building the tension. This is a great one. I think you're really going to enjoy this. This was from an article I read, and apparently the source was Evolution in Human Behavior from September 2004. Sound of voice may predict sexual behavior, by Sharnesia E. Higgins. Go find this article online and read the whole thing. It's fascinating. Men and women whose voices were given higher ratings in attractiveness reported having more sex partners and were younger at first intercourse than those whose voices were considered less attractive. Thus, the sound of an individual's voice can reveal important information to potential mates. Study author Dr. Susan M. Hughes of Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York, told Reuters Health. In the study, 149 men and women listened to recorded voices of anonymous individuals and rated the voices on a 5-point scale from very unattractive to very attractive. On average, 6 men and 6 women rated each voice. Study participants also underwent measurements of their shoulders, waists, and hips, and some anonymously reported various details about their sexual history. When the researchers compared voice ratings with sexual histories, they found that men and women whose voices were considered more attractive by the opposite sex raters reported younger ages at first sexual intercourse, more sex partners, and more sexual affairs than did those with less attractive voices. Voice attractiveness predicted promiscuity in women better than did their waist-to-hip ratio. So we talked about some theory. We talked about some concepts. And in the next section, we're going to talk about some application and some techniques. And then later today, we're going to hear from some damn funny and damn cocky guest speakers. Now let's talk about a magical attraction key. Okay, we just touched on it a little while ago. Let's talk a little bit more about it. A magic attraction key. Higher status. I'd like you to think of it this way. Female genes, I'm not talking about Levi's, okay? Female genes reward male status with mating opportunities. So if you need an equation, male status equals mating opportunities. Male status equals mating opportunities. So let that sink in for a minute. Male status equals mating opportunities. Regardless of looks, age, income, etc., you can always send what the evolutionary biologists and behaviorists call honest signals that communicate higher status than her. And you're really going to want to see my mastery program like I recommended for an in-depth discussion of status, how it applies to attraction. Now, laughter serves a social function, as we've discovered. People laugh to get approval and bond most of the time. Okay? Humor is only a small fraction of the puzzle. When you can make a woman laugh, but not laugh yourself, she's seeking approval, and you're not. If you can use cocky comedy to make her laugh, you're compounding many powerful forces into one incredibly focused moment. You're at the same time communicating high status overtly with your arrogant comment. You're making her laugh, which is her seeking social acceptance, and you're not laughing yourself, which communicates that you are high status and you don't need her approval, all of which, when combined together, create and amplify attraction. When you can use cocky comedy to make a woman laugh while not laughing yourself, you're on the right track. So do you understand those three components mixed together? Okay? They are overtly communicating higher status, making her laugh, which is her seeking social acceptance, and not laughing yourself, which communicates that you don't need her approval. And I tend to think of things like this as multiplying each other, not being added to each other. Okay, if you do two without the other one, not as powerful. Not anywhere near as powerful. In my mastery program, I talk about this book, Impro, by John Stone. And I'd like to read you another section about status. A section he calls Teaching Status. Social animals have inbuilt rules which prevent them from killing each other for food, mates, and so on. Such animals confront each other and sometimes fight until a hierarchy is established, after which there is no fighting, unless an attempt is being made to change the pecking order. This system is found in animals as diverse as human beings, chickens, and woodlice. I've known about this ever since I was given a book about social dominance in Kittiwake. Kittiwake? What kind of animal is that? Interesting. Colonies. Yet I hadn't immediately thought of applying this information to actor training. This is because normal people are inhibited from seeing that no action, sound, or movement is innocent of purpose. Many psychologists have noted how uncannily perceptive some schizophrenics are. I think that their madness must have opened their eyes to things that normal people are trained to ignore. In my view, breaking eye contact can be high status so long as you don't immediately glance back for a fraction of a second. Think about that. Eye contact can be high status so long as you don't immediately glance back for a fraction of a second. If you ignore someone, your status rises. If you feel impelled to look back, then it falls. It's as if proper state of human beings is high, but that we modify ourselves to avoid conflicts. Posture experts, like Matthias Alexander, teach high status postures as quote-unquote correct. It's only to be expected that status is established not by staring, but by the reaction to staring. Thus, dark glasses raise status because we can't see the submission of the eyes. I minimize status resistance for my students by getting them to experience various status sensations before I discuss the implications or even introduce the term. I might ask them to say something nice to the person beside them and then to say something nasty. This releases a lot of laughter, and they are surprised to find that they often achieve the wrong effect. Some people never really ever say anything nice, and others never say anything really nasty, but they won't realize this. I also ask a group to mill about and say hello to each other. They feel very awkward because the situation isn't real. They don't know what status they should be playing. I then get some of the group to hold all eye contacts for a couple of seconds, while the others try to make and then break eye contacts and then immediately glance back for a second. The group suddenly looks more like a real group, in that some people become dominant and others submissive. Those who hold eye contacts report that they feel powerful and actually look powerful. Those who break eye contact and glance back feel feeble and look it. The students like doing this, and they're interested and puzzled by the strength of these sensations. I might then, this is an interesting thing, he says, I might then begin to insert a tentative at the beginning of each of my sentences and ask the group if they detect any change in me. They say that I look helpless and weak, but they can't, interestingly enough, say what I'm doing that's different. Turn to someone you don't know right now and say something nasty to them. Do it right now. Okay, stop. Come back right now. You hear everybody laughing? Did you hear it? Now, I knew that you wouldn't be able to control that one. Okay, everybody's laughing. Right? Huh. Now, turn to someone you don't know and look them straight in the eyes and keep looking them directly in the eyes. Right now, do it. Do it. Turn to someone you don't know, look them in the eyes, and keep looking them in the eyes. Okay, stop. Come back. Did you hear some nervous laughter out there? All right, a little discomfort with that one. Well, yeah, a little bit freaked out. How did you feel when you did that? We want to be alone? Really? How did you feel when you did that? Yell it out. I'm serious. Nervous? It was weird? Awkward? Conflict? Powerful. Oh, interesting. Felt powerful. He's sitting next to the attractive woman in the audience. Isn't that interesting? All right. Now I want you to do this. Turn to a person next to you. I want you to get a partner for this one. Look each other in the eyes, okay? And as you're looking, I want you to say, okay, I'm going to go first. One of you pick to go first. And you know the other person's looking at you, and I want you to look at them and just keep looking at them. So look away, then look at them and keep looking at them. Keep looking into their eyes. Feel what that feels like. Then look at them, glance at them, and then quickly glance away, and then glance back, and then glance away again. Okay, and notice what that feels like. Compare the two. Okay, so the first time, wait, just come back for a sec. The first time, you're going to choose who goes first. Okay? Whoever the, let's say the student is, okay, the teacher is looking at the student constantly, not looking away. The student looks away, and then looks up at the teacher and just maintains eye contact. Doesn't stop. Okay, then you stop the exercise. Now the teacher is looking at the student. The student looks up quickly sees that the teacher is looking at them, glances away, then looks up quickly again, sees they're still looking, and glances away again. And notice how you feel. Okay? Go. Who just learned something?
I was thinking about the looking away and how there's two kinds of ways you can look away, and they establish totally different feelings. If you look away with nothing specific to look at, you create the submissiveness. Whereas, like, what I see a lot in celebrities, they look away, but they're always looking at something more interesting, and they can convey that by focusing on it like, oh, that's more important than you. And then when you come back, it's like, oh, you're still here? And that, so even how you break your eye contact, if there's no reason why you're breaking it, that you can see that, as opposed to, that thing over there is more interesting than you.
Okay, so status and comedy don'ts. Don't use self-deprecating humor, and especially don't do it constantly. Self-deprecating humor. When you make fun of yourself, what are you doing? Lowering your status. Don't communicate that you think that you're a dumbass. Oh, I always do that. Oh, yeah, I'm an unlucky person. Don't joke about having bad luck, being a klutz, or not being successful. Okay? Don't joke about having bad luck, being a klutz, or not being successful. Don't put yourself down to seem humble. Okay? Don't put yourself down so that you seem humble. Don't look at her every time you say something to see how she's responding. Don't make comments and then look over to see how she responds to it. If she responds well to your not paying attention after you've busted on her, then turn it up and pay less attention each time you bust on her. Okay, so if you're finding that making a comment, busting her balls, teasing her, makes her laugh, okay, look away when you do it. Just don't pay attention to her. And then you'll hear her laughing. If she responds to that, do it even more. Do it even more. One of the ways to really turn up tension is to have someone not know whether or not you were kidding. They think you were kidding, but they can't tell. And the fact that you've like turned away or turned your back or are walking away from them, they start to get that weird feeling like, uh-oh, he was serious. And then you stop and you turn around and you go, you bought that. I had you so conned. And then the person's like, because, and then they laugh. And it wasn't because it was funny. It was because you broke the tension. So if it works, pay less attention. Comedy Writing Secrets. A book you've heard me talk a lot about, probably. Comedy Writing Secrets by Helitzer. He says something that's very important. I want to read you a quick little clip. Humor doesn't go into a character, it comes out of a character. Okay? Humor doesn't go into a character, it comes out of a character. A character needs a trademark, a predictable point of view which does not change. Without a shtick, the performer is just a reciter of jokes. With it, a comic can get laughs even with mistakes because, in a way, the performer is the joke. With few exceptions, every successful performer in comedy has developed at least one basic and memorable character. Not only does the audience feel comfortable with this, but the material is easier to write. The character. It's so important if you're going to be funny that you have a character. And you understand the character and you stick with the character. The character. The humor actually flows more from the character, the responses, and the natural interaction than from the jokes. Okay, so the humor doesn't come from the jokes, it comes from the character and your character's interaction with her. Or your character's interaction with the world. Or your character's interaction with your thoughts. In order to make this concept work, you must believe it and act congruently. Okay, you can't go into character, do it for a little while, and then go, do you think that was funny? Want me to do it again? This will not work if you approach this tentatively and try it. On the contrary, it will backfire. If you do that, if you try something and then see how she likes it, and then try it and see how she likes it, it'll probably backfire on you. If she can tell that you're trying to use it to get her approval. Most funny people are not trying to be funny, you'll notice. And they're usually not seeking approval. They're actually being the character. The character is where 90% of the humor flows from. The character. Most guys come up to me that have had a lot of success with the material, and they say a very similar kind of story. They say, I first got into it, I wanted to learn the pickup lines, I got into your stuff, I bought your advanced series, or I got some sexual communication or one of your other programs, I started getting into the inner game stuff, I really got into it, I started developing myself, doing self-help, and then once I got that handled, everything else took care of itself. Comedy writers often talk about the character being that same thing. The character, in this case, is the inner game. If you can get the character down, then all the funny stuff starts taking care of itself. Because when you can do the character, the humor comes from how the character is interacting with the world. Here are some roles or some characters that you might try out, okay, or test. The I'm superior to you role. Okay, I'm superior to you. An assumed or fake position of authority. character of the victim of her seduction. She's just trying to get me into bed. Okay, some of these are more roles that you'll play in the moment, and they're not like the entire character, but you get the idea. Being cold in a funny way. The cold guy. Okay, the straight guy in comedy. The guy that only wants to know what's in it for him. Okay? What's in it for him? The neurotically selfish person. A high-maintenance chick. The ultimate authority and commentator on wussy guys. Okay, the guy that's the expert on wussy guys, what they do, and making fun of them. Imitating her. Okay, becoming an imitation of her. Becoming the devil's advocate. Okay? Encouraging her bad or unhealthy behavior in a sarcastic way. You're always on her mind and she's pursuing you. You know that she's like a stalker and you're trying to resist her charms. She needs adult supervision. Okay? Or as my friend Rich would say, she has a problem that medical science just cannot explain. Okay. Character practice exercise. All right, so imagine a particular type of character that you could work with. All right? You could just practice, you could play with. So try, here's 3 examples. Pick one of these. A neurotically emotional, impatient, disapproving parent. A neurotically emotional, impatient, disapproving parent. An overly confident player or playboy. All right, think about the ladies' man, right, or the guys from Roxbury or something like that. And then finally, the third one is a high-maintenance woman. Okay, a high-maintenance woman. Now, how would each character react to the following 3 things? She accidentally touches your ass. She drops something. She asks you to buy her a drink. All right, now here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to get a partner, and I'd like each of you to pretend you're the first character and respond to each of the 3 things. And then I'd like you to each be the second character and each respond to the 3 things. And then each be the third character. All right, so a neurotically emotional, impatient, disapproving parent, an overly confident player or playboy, a high-maintenance woman. Okay, and respond to the 3 things. Who wants to share what their experience? Who had an interesting time with that one and wants to share what happened? Tentatively, stand up. Anybody over here? What was your experience?
Yeah, we were having a hard time doing the thinking about the high maintenance woman, but as we got to think about it, it's like when she actually touches your ass, you go, oh, how dare you touch my ass? You make it.
Exactly.
Then we began to get into it, and now it's like it used to be a weakness, now it's a strength.
Yeah. Got to get in touch with your inner high-maintenance girl, guys. We've all got one. It's very liberating to act like a high-maintenance woman. It is. It's fun. It can be a good time. Don't do it too much.
What Al and I noticed about the difference is really between the player and the high-maintenance woman is very little. And what we notice is if you ever dated a high-maintenance woman, once you date them and you're with them, you're very confident to the point where you're almost annoyed by them. And it makes you more confident because they're so anal about what they look like, they come across. You can get away with almost everything. Rather than being worried what they're going to say or not, you're almost like, oh, jeez. Okay, honey, relax, calm down. Everything's good. Everything's cool. Okay. And with the Playboy, looking when she drops something, the Playboy is so confident. It's like, Darling, are you trying to look up my pants? Which is pretty funny.
It's good. Did you get some insights from that? Yeah. It's the character. All right, so use this stuff when you're interacting with women. By the way, a couple of interesting books you might want to check out. Irving Goffman was a guy that studied humans and interaction. Here are a couple of books I just happen to have. His Interaction, Ritual, and Behavior in Public Places. It will boggle your mind, the detail that he goes into in these books. It'll teach you a lot, too, about your own behavior. All right, conversation theory. Most guys approach conversations with women the way they approach dates. Okay, it's like a microcosm of the way that they normally approach dates. They think that there's a set of rules and a way of doing things that must govern their behavior. They think there's a protocol to the whole thing. Instead of relaxing, making funny comments, and generally acting almost too comfortable, they act stilted, tentative, and almost formal. Raise your hand if you've ever acted almost formal on a date. Most men want a woman to feel some kind of interest or attraction toward them. Okay? But they usually wind up doing and saying things that cause the opposite. They want the woman to feel attraction. They do things that cause the opposite. Instead of making conversations interesting, fun, unpredictable, and emotionally interesting, they make conversations boring, predictable, and bland. Never ceases to amaze me how men they accomplish the opposite of what they want by doing the things that they think they're supposed to do. So, normal conversation do's and don'ts. Okay? Number 1, don't get too serious too soon. Okay, don't get too serious too soon. A question I get a lot is, well, Dave, how do I talk about serious things? When is it okay to have a serious conversation? And I go, why do you want to have one so bad? What's your deal? You don't not feel understood or something? Like your mom never asked you how you are? Stop it. Okay? Because the underlying belief there is that there's a point when you have to get into it. It's like, well, you're not saying don't do it, are you? Well, I mean, you have to. Okay, well, don't do it. Don't get too serious too soon. Wait until you've gone on a few dates before you really let things get too heavy. That's a good rule of thumb. Focus the conversation on fun instead of an objective. Okay, so focus the conversation on having fun instead of achieving an objective. Be in the moment, enjoying yourself, enjoying the play. Don't worry about finding commonality, common goals, etc. There's an interesting word in the language. It's called rapport. Okay? R-A-P-P-O-R-T. Rapport. And here's a book called The Magic of Rapport. The Magic of Rapport. By Jerry Richardson. Okay, Magic of Rapport by Jerry Richardson. Don't make me kick your ass again, Beavis. Okay, The Magic of Rapport by Jerry Richardson. And I think it's a great book to read. Okay, it's very valuable. I've learned a ton of great stuff from that book. I mean, you can see in my traditional style, I got all my little markers in there. I got a lot of them. And I think that a lot of people really naturally feel like they want to be in rapport with another. They want to feel that connection, that like surface connection. It's like, oh yeah, we're on the same page. Everything's going good. And most men are afraid to not have that. And their fear of not having that prevents them from actually getting it. Okay, so they'll never do anything outside the norm. They won't step out of the box. They won't do anything risky. They won't ride on the edge. What's fascinating is that when you don't worry about this stuff, when you don't worry about commonality or common goals or being on the same page, that it frees your mind, okay? You can do things like bust on her, throw in something completely out of the blue, or push her. And what's interesting about it, of course, is that that stuff is implying that you have a bond that cannot be broken. Okay, it's implying that you have a connection at such a deep level that there's nothing you could do to destroy it. Now, I actually go further, and we might talk about this a little bit later, but I actually say, all right, I know that she loves me right from the beginning. I'm going to do something to see if I can get her to get mad at me. Okay? I'm going to see if I can tease her enough so she actually gets mad at me. Now, I don't do it in a mean-spirited way, of course. Okay? I'm having fun the whole time. And remember, logic is the enemy. Logic is the enemy. I have seen the enemy, and he is logic. 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 You saw my friend, or you probably heard my friend Tyler in an interview that I did with him in my Interviews with Dating Gurus program. He talked at the Meeting Women in Bars and Clubs program and Mastery and a bunch of others. He calls these death topics. Logic. Death topics. Death. The death of the attraction. The death of the energy. Do not be fooled or tricked into thinking that just because you have something in common or you're talking about some common thing you have that it's going anywhere. Messing with her, one of my favorite things. The I'm messing with you interaction change. Okay, it has a different vibe. I want to talk about messing with someone because this is a fundamental key to shifting to a different frequency of communication with women. Okay, it's I'm messing with you. And you have to learn how to spark that and get it going. And you have to learn how to keep it going. The I'm messing with you vibe. Okay, I'm messing with you. You know the difference when you're talking to somebody between this is normal conversation and this is play. We're playing with each other, right? Well, you got to switch to that. You got to switch that on. You've got to communicate that somehow. Think about when you mess with one of your friends, but you sound serious. Okay? How does your friend know that you're messing with them? How does your friend know? You're out of character? No. How does your friend know that you're messing with them, even though you're intentionally sounding serious to do it? My good friend that's in the back here and we do this a lot, and we like call each other up and go, dude, I can't get my car started. And like 2 minutes before we're supposed to meet somewhere. Right? And it's part of the objective is to see if we can trick the other person. And we both know it all the time. And we know that whatever the other person says that's serious can't be. Right? So we're to the point where we could, just can't trust each other. And it's a great place to be in a friendship. But how do we know? How do we know? Okay, he keeps saying you just know, but how do you know really? How do we know? We do it on the phone a lot because we don't live in the same place. Can't see the smile. Right? Because we know each other, we know each other's friends. It's because the thing is like, there's something about it that's not quite right. It's a little too serious, right? Or there's a little something about it where you doubt it to be happening. Okay? So, for instance, let's say you've got a date with a girl, okay? And you kind of, let's say you're getting together with her for the second time, and you messed with her a lot the first time, and you got her cell phone. You call her up 1 minute before you're supposed to get together with her, and she's on her cell phone, and you're like right outside the place you're going to meet, and you go, oh my God, something really intense just came up, and she's like, what? And you're like, well, I was driving, and there was this big accident, and this oil tanker fell over, and it burst into flames, and I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. And then you come walking in the door, all right? That can be kind of funny. So you can do these things. You can establish that connection of I'm messing with you by being a little too serious. You can do it right from the beginning with people. We know. Sure, every once in a while you're going to meet an uptight woman that's going to get offended at that you did this, and then you mess with her. She's going to go, that's not funny. The best thing to do, of course, is to laugh at her response and then walk away. Run. Okay? So being overly serious, overly harsh, or overreacting so that it's obvious, but only in a little way that you're playing. The problem is that most people don't tend to do this stuff with strangers, and especially with women that they don't know. And most of all, with women that they're attracted to. It would never cross the mind of most men to mess with a woman that they feel attracted to. So they don't want to risk screwing it up. It's critical that you switch the conversation from a normal mode into a different vibe, and that you do this quickly. Don't let the conversation stay normal for too long before switching it up. Transitioning to the I'm messing with you vibe. Okay? Take something that she said and twist it in a funny way. All right? Twist it. Twist it around. Complain about something in an over-serious way. Give an over-exaggerated compliment that can't be real, but that seems way too serious. Accuse her of stepping over the line and trying to pick you up in some way. So, let's do a couple of examples here just so you understand where this is coming from. Where would you meet a woman, in a normal everyday situation that you just see a lot? Or that you might run into that you might want to start a conversation. Market, bookstore, Starbucks, okay? So let's say it's the girl working behind the counter at Starbucks, right? What could you do? What are some things you could do immediately as soon as the conversation starts? Okay, some funny ones that are kind of situational or whatever. My friend who's going to share a little bit later, Rich, will walk up to the counter, and for some reason at Starbucks, when you're with another person, they tend to ask a lot, "Are you two together?" And so he always looks and he goes, "Well, I'm attracted to him, but I wouldn't say that we're together." All right? Now, that's pretty funny. And what it does is, then he kind of looks at me, and and I look at him like, "You're the stupidest person I've ever met, ever in my life." And it's not about her. Of course, she's laughing, and we're looking at each other, and then we start joking with each other, and almost cut her out of the conversation for a second. Interesting. Huh? You know what? Stand up if you got a question. Stand up.
Would you? Is it on now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Would you switch that comment if you were standing next to her and let's say at a checkout and say,
"Oh, absolutely,
she's attracted to me," but
yes, absolutely. If you're with that's an even better one. I mean, if you can get a situation where there are two women that you like, or a woman that you like, and another attractive woman in the situation, you can be messing with both of them, and you can. They both cue into the fact that they're both laughing and enjoying it, but they don't want to because they both like you. It can be very powerful. But so let's say you walk into Starbucks, you walk up to the counter with a girl that you've just met, okay, you're on your first little tea get-together, and the girl behind the counter goes, "Oh, are you two together?" And you look and you go, "Well, she wants me, but I'm playing hard to get. Anyway, what's your name?" Right? So you can switch this stuff up a lot and have a really good time with it. But the point is that as soon as you do that, it instantly communicates that we're on a different vibe. This guy is a character. Okay, they get that feeling. Oh, one of these. Okay. You understand the feel? You got to transition into it quickly. Quickly. Important? You've had your share already. You've already used them all up today. It better be really important. Okay, stand up. That's what I like. Nerve. Bring him a mic, please.
I've gotten this comment a lot, and it's worked for me, and it's also just stayed there.
Yeah.
When you're having a conversation with a woman, and she's laughing, and she gives you that comment, "You are too funny." It's almost like, I'm not sure if it's a backhanded compliment or it's really working. Mm-hmm. Like they really like you're crazy, but they love it. And you keep going and amplifying it. Mm-hmm. When I've heard it said like that, I'm taking it to the benefit of the doubt. But what's the symbol behind that one comment?
Oh, that's good. Well, I don't know what it is because I haven't been in the situation, so I can't read her body language. But you've asked a fantastic question because just remember, it's always on. Everything that she says, you must take to mean that she wants you. And you have to spin it around. And if she says, you're just too funny. You have to say, I know, please try to control yourself. You with me? Yeah. Speaking the unspoken, cocky comedy style. If a woman's hitting you, pushing you, or acting fake mad, say, you love me. Okay, if she questions your comment, right? If she goes, what? I do not, right? You say, look, you just hit me, just like a little girl does on the playground with a boy that she likes. Therefore, you love me. My buddy Craig and I were just down in Venice when we were doing this whole experimenting with some of these tools recently, getting ready for this program and the Meeting Women in Bars and Clubs program. And we did something, I said something to the hostess, and I thought it was kind of interesting. I do this kind of thing a lot, and it's very counterintuitive, so I'm going to explain it. We walked in, the hostess said, how many, and I started flirting with her immediately. And then I think we went and got a drink or something, and then she seated us, and she came over. And I was flirting with her the whole time, doing my typical little stuff, like, how many, 2? And I go, yeah, 2 or 3 if you'd like to join us, and then use your employee discount to buy us dinner for free. And, so we sit down, and, she and I had a really good vibe going, right? And so then at one point, he and I were talking about this, and I actually said, all right, I'm going to try it. I'm going to say this, and, let's see what happens. I said to Craig, I go, okay, watch this. And I called her over. I said, come here. I made her come to the table. And I looked at her with like a dead serious face. Okay, I had the really I'm concerned about something. Like, there might be something wrong with the meal or something. She came over and I said, when I walked in, I flirted with you and we had that fun little vibe going. But you haven't even come over here to pay attention to me once. And I feel very unloved. And it was fascinating because she snapped something back very quickly. She got it and got into it, and then we laughed and had a little laugh from it. I often like to call attention to dynamics that are not said. Okay, so I will say things to women like, I did this thing, and what I was doing was I was signaling my interest in you, and you haven't even been over here, reciprocating, showing me that you like me. What's the deal? And it's funny because when you got the vibe, that really goes over well. Right? Because women they don't know guys that know that stuff. They're not in touch with it. It can be funny. Okay, this really requires some self-assurance. You have to really be cocky in order to look at a woman and in a serious way, be like, I did all these things. I signaled. I sent the message, baby. I'm not getting any love in return. All right, so here are some good cocky comedy themes, okay, to incorporate with your characters. Male and female stereotypes. Okay, male and female stereotypes. If you take gender stereotypes, like the submissive housewife that's standing at the sink doing dishes all day with 47 kids, or the, over masculine guy with the rib stains on his wife beater, in the trailer court. These are great. Neurotic common relationship dysfunctions. Okay, if you pretend like you've got a common relationship dysfunction. So if a woman says something and she busts your balls, you can go, why do you always have to make me feel this way? Just as a little aside here, here's an interesting book I found recently. It's Okay to Be Neurotic. Using Your Neurosis to Your Advantage by Frank Bruno. It's okay to be neurotic, using your neurosis to your advantage. This is a coffee table book right here, guys. Serious, just drop this on your coffee table when she's coming over. She will walk straight into your house, walk right over and go, it's okay to be, look at you. And then you can just say, that book is like my Bible. When I saw that, I felt liberated. Because I've got every neurosis in that book. And then you just go, I'm probably going to be beating you within a half hour. Have fun with it, okay? It's good comedy. Or you can pick it up and you can go, she can walk over and grab it and you can say, I knew you were going to walk right in here and pick that up. That book is about you. Now I understand you. It's incredible. I feel like you are an open book. Common neurotic personality characteristics. Same thing. Exasperation. I'm going to have my friend talk about exasperation later. Just being exasperated with everything she does. Oh, God. Reframing. Okay, this really isn't a theme as much as a technique. Okay, if you want to get some great reframing, this book, Mind Lines, they've got a new cover for it now by Michael Hall. You got to get yourself a copy of Mind Lines. This book will not only teach you to reframe limiting beliefs, but when you do it, you'll start learning to reframe everything, learning to reframe things that she does, learning to reframe things you say and that she says. And then here's another book about the same tools called Sleight of Mouth. Sleight of Mouth by Robert Dilts, D-I-L-T-S. Mind Lines by Michael Hall. Sleight of Mouth by Robert Dilts. Mind Lines, Sleight of Mouth. Go get them. Reframing. Conversational martial arts. Grabbing a word from her and then riffing on it and turning that into the theme of the conversation. You can pick any random word out of a sentence of hers, right? So she might say, it's really interesting. I was watching this, show on the Discovery Channel, and she'll be talking about, birds or something, and she'll go, yeah, but when another bird shows up of the opposite sex, blah, 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 blah. And then you can go, sex? And then boom, you can just go riff on sex. Why are you talking about sex? Speaking of sex, okay, just grabbing a word out of everything that she says and riffing on that word. It's random and it's funny. It's very enjoyable. Someone told me once, I don't remember who it is, so I can't pay attribution. Thank you, whoever you are. They said that a technique that they learn in, I think it was improv, is they take the last word of the sentence of the last person, they just take that word and they just riff on that word. Just extend it. All right, so what's so wrong with normal conversation? What's wrong with normal conversation? What's wrong with it? Normal conversation is characterized by the routine, boring subjects that most people talk about unconsciously all day, every day. The weather, sports, jobs, cars. Some women will get upset with you for avoiding them or being evasive. It will happen, and it's the risk of being different. Okay? If you evade these things, okay, some women will get upset at you. It's all right. It's the price. Gary Halbert, the famous marketing genius, says, and this is my paraphrasing of him, that if you don't piss anyone off, you're not doing a good enough job of communicating your message. Okay, if you've got an opinion and a perspective, and you're real clear about it, you're going to piss some people off. And the clearer you are about it and the better you are at communicating it, the more people you're going to piss off, but also the more people that you're going to connect with.